I'm Robbie with Delta Millworks. We are here at this beautiful home outside of Park City, Utah. I am here with the mastermind behind this project, Chris Price with Klima Architecture. Chris, thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about Klima and we'll talk about some of the details on this project.
Yeah, we're an architecture firm based in Park City, Utah. Been around for like 15 years and just designing resilient, eco-friendly kind of homes in the Park City and greater area. And we're stoked to check out this project.
This is a beautiful house in Promontory, big house on the hill, great views. What were some of the inspirations behind this project? What are some of your favorite elements? And what were some of the challenges designing and building this house?
Yeah, this house was fun to draw. It was completed about a couple years ago. It's in Promontory neighborhood, which is a little bit more tight. They have some pretty stringent design guidelines in terms of massing, in terms of materials, in terms of just most of the aspects, even the size of the house. So I was trying to find, the best qualities that the land offers us, that the clients needed and wanted in this house. The clients were amazing clients. This is second home. I think they might move out here permanently at some point, but they were incredible to work with. They were really easy and seamless. Then they brought in a really great builder with Germania, and then they brought in you yahoos, which just elevated it. So it's been really great.
What details and elements were important to the homeowners? I mean, being a second home on this project or others you work on, is it low maintenance? Is it affordability? Is it sustainability?
I think with most owners, let's say starting out as second homes, they want something that's resilient and low maintenance. That's probably the most important items, even if the price point is a little bit more than a traditional like cedar, redwood, or something that you have to maintain a bunch. Folks really don't want to maintain a lot of stuff around here. So finding resilient materials that last and that you don't have to do a lot of maintenance to was pretty important to the clients.
Let's talk about some of the wood materials and how we selected some of these products from Delta. We did 3 different products. So we did a wire brushed ivory stained Accoya for the ceilings and soffits, more of a rougher texture. For most of the exterior siding, we did a smooth brushed Accoya with our Coastline finish, which is kind of a 2-tone meant to look like already weathered wood. And we call that really a sacrificial stain that transitions gracefully from a stained product to authentically weathered product over several years. And we did a Shou-sugi Ban gator product for some accent walls, which I think looks really nice along the stairwell and some bar areas and just some prominent areas with that heavily charred texture that's we still think is really cool. How did these 3 different materials come together?
We also teamed up with a really great interior designer that the clients had used previously from the Midwest, Dustin Gherkin, and he was pretty involved in a lot of the color selections and then creating the whole imagery. And it's not like really crazy pops, it's more subtleties. And I think with the floor and the ceiling kind of match pretty well, which was my intent. I like it when there's not a ton of different wood colors going on. And then for me, the gator, the char, is just, it has so much dimension, and I love the black nature of it, and it just has so much movement, and it's something that kind of highlights a lot of the other features. So it's a humble play, but it's really, really awesome.
What's your take on charred wood as either an interior or exterior cladding material?
I personally love it. I think that the nuances of it are, you just got to be open to the delicacy of it, I think. Like some of the, you just got to know where to place it, and you have to do it thoughtfully and artfully, so it's not in like, let's say, high traffic areas that are going to get bumped and where it's going to, have to be maintained more. So it's really figuring out where you can do it, where it has like a high impact, but also it's not going to require a lot of maintenance. I also just like the history of the Shou-sugi-ban process. It comes from, the Japanese culture, how the burn creates a much more hardy, fire-resilient, bug-resilient material, and to me, it's pretty shockingly awesome to look at.
I think it's a matter of setting proper expectations with a product like that, with any material, of course, but especially with a more unique, more nuanced product like charred wood. The Coastline siding looks great. As I mentioned, we call that a sacrificial gray. Down in Texas or other markets, that wood will, over 5, 6, 7 years, start to transition into a naturally grayed wood once that coating finally breaks down. I guess I had a question for you that we've talked about for years now, but does raw wood actually turn gray up here? I mean, you drive by cedar barns and they're still, sometimes they'll even darken a little bit. They'll do their own unique form of patinaing the wood. So what's your take on that topic? Curious as a local up here.
It depends on the aspect and the overhangs and how much sun they get. We did a project down in Salt Lake like 10, 15 years ago, and it started burning. It started going like dark, almost black in some aspects. And then, but where water was coming up or sprinklers, it's getting really weathered. It's not like East Coast where everything's kind of monotonously goes kind of grayish. Right here, it could be a little splotchy. I've done a couple houses, in full cedar, and as long as you maintain them, they do all right. But it's nothing like these products.
What's your take on the next 10 years of architecture and design and construction in the Park City area? What trends are you seeing with how a house is designed from a sustainability aspect to performance?
I feel like Park City has been leveling up to sister communities like Aspen, Vale, Sun Valley, as kind of more eyes and more interest come to Park City and they see it as a value. A lot of these people during COVID, they've escaped bigger cities on the coast and they've been coming to Park City, and with that, they've been bringing a different taste level, a different level of expectations and quality that Utah typically doesn't have. Utah architecture has been conservative, and there hasn't been a lot of boundary pushing on sustainability or even design. So you see a lot of the great design, it's happening on the side coast. So for us, it created a niche market where there's a lot of people coming in and they want better design, they want better products, they want better quality. The crazy thing is that we're now getting really big top tier residential architecture firms coming out here and saying they're Park City architects, and that's amazing because they're really elevating the game for the rest of us, and people are now expecting better products, not only for resiliency purposes, but also for sustainability. So how they're living, how comfortable they are, and then also how much carbon they're using. Hopefully, we just keep finding like-minded clients that allow us to come in and help them create awesome spaces.
Awesome, Chris. Well, that's a great overview of this project and great insight on the market and your world of architecture. We think you do great work and hope to keep working with you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.